Hi, this is Tamara from mooglyblog.com, and in this video I will be demonstrating how to crochet the Nordic Star Christmas Ornament Pouch, which is a free pattern you'll find on mooglyblog.com. Please go to the link in the description where you'll find both right and left-handed video tutorials, as well as a link to the written pattern and all the supplies you need. If you go to the site and see the videos, just keep scrolling down for all those great links. I will also be linking out to a few other video tutorials, that I will mention here today. Now, as you can see, this is the Nordic Star Christmas Ornament Pouch. It is a great, quick little project, perfect for using up your stash yarn. For the white, I only used 35 yards, and for the red, I only used 20 yards. A great quick stash buster. It is worked tapestry style, so you can see the inside a little bit there, which means we work over the unused color in each stitch. So we don't have to float those behind at all. They're all worked right into the stitches, no strings inside there at all. Now I've made this as a pouch, so you could put small gifts, gift cards in here, hang it from the tree, attach it to the top of a wrapped gift, whatever you like to do. You could also seam up the top and stuff it for a great hanging ornament. For this pattern, I used Red Heart Scrubby Smoothie, but Lily Sugar and Cream is also a great, easy to find substitute. Either of these work beautifully. You'll also need a US H hook or whatever helps you get gauge, basically being a nice tight fit. Or a nice tight stitch, I should say. This finished project ended up being about 4 inches wide and 5 inches tall. So if you change your hook size, you might get a slightly different, or your yarn for that matter, you might get a slightly different size. But as long as the stitches are nice and tight, you'll be just fine. You'll also need your standard crochet supplies, such as scissors, a yarn needle, and possibly even some stitch markers if they help you out. So let's go ahead and get started making our Nordic Star Christmas Ornament Pouch. Now, as you saw, the original was white and red, but I'm going to use green and red here so it's a little easier to see my stitches. And of course, you can use whatever colors you like. So to begin round 1, we're going to take our first color, color A, typically the white, here I'll use the green, and we want to leave a good 12-inch tail before we make our slip knot. We're going to use that tail to sew up the bottom of our pouch. So just go ahead and let that hang and get your slip knot on the hook. Then we're going to foundation single crochet 34. I do have a separate tutorial for this linked at the link in the description and here on the Moogly YouTube channel. So if you'd like to check that out, please do. I'll just do it pretty quickly right here. We're going to start with a chain 2, and then I'm going to go into the back hump of the chain furthest from my hook, like so. Yarn over and pull up a loop. That will become the chain at the bottom of our first stitch. Then I'll yarn over and pull through that loop to start our single crochet, then yarn over and pull through 2 to finish the single crochet. From there, I simply go under the bottom 2 loops of the previous stitch, pull up a loop to make the chain at the bottom of the second stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop to start my single crochet, yarn over, and pull through 2 to finish it. So after that, they're all the same as that second one until you have 34 total. If you would prefer to avoid using the foundation single crochet, you can do that by chaining 35. Then you just need to skip the chain closest to the hook and single crochet in each remaining chain across. So as soon as you've got 34 stitches made, I will see you right back here and we'll join it and continue on. Okay, so after you've got your 34 stitches made, we're ready to join to work in the round. By making the row, basically, before we turn it into a round, what we've done is we've avoided trying to work into the chain without it twisting. This is a great tip if that is something that causes trouble for you typically in your crochet. So we do need to make sure not to twist it now. We want to bring it around, whoops, there we are, so that we can slip stitch to the first stitch we made of this round or row. Pull those little ends out of the way here, there we are. And now we're ready to work in the end. Then, when we're all done with our crocheting, we'll take this end in our yarn needle and we can attach to the bottom of that last stitch with it and then simply sew the bottom of our pouch closed. So let's continue with row 2. Now, each of the rounds 2 through 17 are worked in the back loop only. If we take a moment and look at the top of our stitch, you can see, like most crochet stitches, these have a V shape on top. The loop of that V that is closest to you is always the front loop, and the loop that's furthest away is always the back loop. If we were to flip our work, this would be the front loop, and that would be the back loop. It's always relative to you. Okay, so to begin round 2, we're going to start with a chain 1. But before I make that first stitch, I want to go ahead and start working over my other color, my color B here. And grab the end here. And I'm just going to hold about 6 inches or so back out of the way here. And then I'm going to lay it right over, and this gets a little fiddly, just take your time with it. Just sort of lay it right over the top of my stitches. And as I make the first 5 stitches, we start with a chain 1 and single crochet 5 before we switch to our second color. As I make those stitches, I'm going to crochet over that unused color, color B, so that it's right where I want it when I need it. This is called working tapestry style. So I'm going to go under the back loop only of that first stitch, and I want to make sure to go under that second color as well. Then I'll yarn over and pull up a loop and finish that first single crochet. Now I need to make 4 more, and I want to make sure again that I go under the back loop only and that I enclose that unused color. I'm not putting any tension on it, I'm just letting it lay right on top of those stitches. So let's see, that's 4, so I'm going to start my 5th one here. But before I yarn over and pull through, that's where I'm going to switch for the next color. Row 2 starts with chain 1 and single crochet 5. So before I finish that 5th stitch, I'm going to drop the green and pick up the red and finish the stitch off with the red. That sets us up for a really clean color change, as you can see right here. The top of that stitch is still green, but now we're all set up to make our red stitches. So we chain 1, single crochet 5, then with B, we single crochet 1. So we want to go under the back loop again. This time we want to make sure to work over the green color, so I'll just give a little tension on that and lay that over my hook, and then I will yarn over and pull up that loop. But since we're only making 1 stitch this color, I need to drop the red again right away and put the green back on the hook to finish that stitch, like so. Then I am going to, with A, continue to single crochet 5 more. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And if you find, I'm not going to finish that because I'm going to switch colors again, but if you find that you're getting some wrinkling there, you can give just a gentle tug. Now that we've made a stitch with it, it won't come out on either end. So if you need to give that a little tug to straighten it out underneath, you just don't want to pull so tight that you cause those other stitches to squinch up. You just want it to be nice and smooth inside there. So let's go ahead and finish that stitch with our red again, like so. And then we have just 1 more stitch in this color. So we go in there, pull up our loop, drop it, and finish it again with green. Then with A, our green color here, we're going to single crochet in the next 10. So for the next 10 stitches, we're just going to work right over our red. Now, as you've noticed with all these color changes, or when you start doing it, you can kind of see it in here in my hand, they are starting to get twisted together. So every so often, as you're working tapestry crochet, if you don't have a special, tool or something for this, it just takes a few moments to go ahead and untangle your yarns. Just spin them around, or even spin your project. That's what I do sometimes. I'll actually spin my project around a few times to untwist those yarns from each other. It takes a little bit of extra time, but at the end of this project, one of the great things is you've only got 4 ends to weave in, 2 for each color. So that is, you guys know how I feel about weaving in ends. It's one of my favorite things about working this style. So we're just going to continue here working our 10 green single crochets, or white, or whatever color you're using for color A. Now that I've chatted, I'm not sure where I am. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect. We've got 1 more. And this is, we'll be making our switch again. So I'll drop that and finish it with our red. Give that a little tug to make it the same size as the others. Go into the next one, make our 1 red stitch, finish it with green. Then I have 5 more green ones here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that means it's time to drop that one. Get our red on the hook and make the next stitch in red. Drop that, because we're going back to green for the final 5 stitches. So I will just continue to crochet over our unused color. You can see the twists are starting to add up a little bit here. Untwisting after each row, or round rather, is really the best method for keeping your yarns untangled. There's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Don't get fooled by the slip stitch there. That's not a stitch. We want to go ahead and join to the first stitch of the round. You don't have to try and work over the other color for this one. Just go ahead and slip stitch with your color A. There we are. So that's how we make round 1. And really that's how we make all the rounds. Or excuse me, round 2. That was round 2, wasn't it? That's how we make all the rounds. They're all worked in the back loop only. They're all single crochets. It's just a matter of switching colors. And you'll notice we switched colors 4 times, and that's because the front and the back are identical. If I pull up the finished one here again, you can see we've got our Nordic star on the front and on the back. It's the exact same pattern worked in the round with just a little stitch there in between on each side to break them up. You can see right there is actually our join. So if you follow the written pattern, it's just a matter of knowing, how many, we've got 5 stitches of white here, then 2 of red, 3 of white, 2 of red, and then however many on the written pattern gets you over to the other side. You do it again, finish it off, you go up to the next row. Each one of these rows will start with color A and end with color A. Here, that's the white, so you can see that's how we finished it. So it's the red or color B that's popping through to make the design. So like I say, just follow the written pattern. Work over those stitches. Otherwise, I would just be making single crochets at you here for a while. But single crochet, back loop only, it's just a matter of the numbers. Right in the middle here, you do have a row that's all just A, part of the design, sort of matches the line that comes right here through our Nordic star. So even for this row, though, I would go ahead and work over your color B just to keep the look and the thickness of the stitches matching all the other stitches in your project. So we continue making these stitches. And in fact, what's fun about this is when you get to this point, then you do the row of white. It's the exact same pattern, just work backwards. So if you flip it this way, you can see it's the same pattern. It's just worked this row, and then you make the solid row, and then it's back to the same as that row, that row, that row. They mirror themselves on out. So if we take a quick look at the written pattern here, you can see round 9 is where we've got our solid row of our color A. Remember, they always begin with color A, and then they'll always end up ending with color A. So rounds 10 through 17, we just do the same pattern backwards. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, counting on down until we get to round 18, which is where we make our hanging loop and finish it all off. So let's go ahead and pretend we've made all our rows with our little swatch here. Like I said, they're all single crochets in the back loop only. Easy peasy. When it is time to go ahead and make your hanging loop in row 18, I'd say go ahead and cut that color B. Get that out of there so it stops tangling up with your other yarns. Let's get that set aside. There we are. You can tuck all those little ends inside for now so they're out of the way. And we're only working with our color A yarn to finish up round 18. So for round 18, we're going to start with the hanging loop. Now, if I pull up the finished one again here, you can see this is a chain of 15. I found this to be a really good length for me, but depending on how you're using it, you can absolutely chain as few or as many as you like here. Totally up to you. If you know you're putting it on a tree with really big branches, you might want to go longer. If you are tying it to the top of a gift, you might want to go shorter. Up to you. But we're just going to say 15 again. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Again, this is just the hanging loop. If you get to the end and you say, oh my gosh, I only had 14 or 16, as long as it's big enough to get around what you want to hang it on, that's totally fine. Then we're going to come right back down here, and here is the stitch that we joined to. So I'm just going to slip stitch right back in that same stitch, like so. And then to cap it all off, I'm just going to slip stitch in each remaining stitch around. So I go to the next stitch and make a slip stitch. Next stitch, make a slip stitch. And this just gives us a really nice finished edge for our pouch. After you've gotten all the way around, of course, you can break your yarn. And I like to sew in the end rather than trying to join it with a slip stitch here. I would just sort of break my yarn and sew it right down into the loop. Gives it a nice secure look. And then pull this hook up out of the way here. Like I say, what we'll do, weave in these color B ends first, so that they're inside the pouch. It's really easy to turn the pouch inside out before you sew the bottom closed, so you can weave in those ends. Then, after those are woven in, you tuck those back in or get those all sorted. Then you take that last tail, those 12 inches you left at the beginning of the pattern, put those on your yarn needle, And you can use those to whip stitch or mattress stitch or whatever method you like to use, close up the bottom of that pouch. You can see right here, I used the mattress stitch. I did it in white, so it just disappears right into the fabric. And you can see up here where I had that great slip stitch detailing around the top. And then when I got to the last one, I just cut my yarn and wove in that end, sort of tied it right into the bottom of that loop there for a little extra sturdiness. So that's how to crochet the Nordic Star Christmas Ornament Pouch. As you can see, it's very simple, almost exclusively back loop only single crochets. All you need to do is remember those color changes, and those are all written out in the written pattern. Once again, please go to the link in the description so you can get that written pattern, as well as the right and left-handed video demos and links to all the supplies you need, including this gorgeous hook by Furls. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video helps you make your own Nordic Star Christmas Ornament Pouch, and I hope you'll give Red Heart Scruffy Smoothie and Lily Sugar and Cream a try. They're both great yarns. Happy holidays, everybody, and don't forget to like and subscribe.